Oh yeah, coming up on LiveWire, we have a really great show for you today. We're going to be talking about comics, comic books, alternative comic books, anime, a wonderful genre of American comics. And we have some artists here who actually make comics for you. And there's a charity event called the Anime event is coming up as a fundraiser for Japanese relief. And so stay tuned for LiveWire because also we're also going to talk about the Bicycle Film Festival, yet another wonderful addition to culture in Sacramento. Stay tuned for LiveWire right after this. Jason, Dube, and Timothy James, they're from Scattered Art Studio, and they're here to talk about, this is a comic book. Get this? There's also something called graphic novels, and we're going to talk about that. So why don't we just jump into it, guys, okay? Good, it's great to have you here to talk about this stuff. I also understand that, Timothy, you're a magician.
I am, and we're probably going to get into that a little bit later.
Whoa, so. Groovy. Wow, that's TV, man.
I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, but I'm really interested in how did this come about? This is like really long. I mean, this is great.
That's a collection of about 30 of my comic books. I first started Scattered way back in high school, and that's an accumulation of about 5 years worth. After the Scattered series came out, I started branching out because that's a very serious supernatural comic, and I thought, do something lighthearted. So I did Panda Days, which is more of a lighthearted, fun comedy comic book, and it's for a younger audience too. I would say probably from 12 to 18-year-old.
So you don't work for, you know, like DC Comics or major comic books of America, right?
These
are short run. How many?
What they call this is self-published.
Self-published.
And these series are still going. Panda Days, the fourth issue is actually coming out in September.
Is it another part of the story, or this is a fourth reprint of this?
It's a continuing storyline.
Continuing storyline.
Yes, and eventually it'll be collected in a big volume like that. Hopefully I'll have a whole bookcase full of big volumes of my books.
Wow. So Timothy, when you come up with a storyline idea and it's kind of successful, you think like, oh, now what should I have my characters do?
Actually, that's really how I do it. I have an idea of a situation for some very specific characters that I come up with. I usually come up with a character, put them into an interesting situation, and then I'll kind of sit back and figure out how they're going to get out of it.
I guess.
So I'm really doing it just one page at a time.
You do one page at a time?
Pretty much.
What's going to happen next?
Yeah. I mean, I have a general idea of where it's going to what's going to happen, how it's going to end, or what direction I'm heading. But along the way, I sort of just make things up as I go along, and I get to tell a lot of jokes. I do a lot of comedy in the book. My book, Tech Gal, is comedy-based, and I just get to have all this fun making it up as I go. Although the story is becoming more and more complicated, because the more I write it, the more familiar with the characters I get, the more I start to learn about the characters. Things that I didn't know about when I first came up with them. One of the main characters.
They come up and whisper stuff in your ear?
Exactly.
And didn't you know?
No, I had no idea.
They go, no, don't make me do that.
Like, I don't have a choice.
I would never do that. No. And then
I like it.
You're right.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens too. I've worked myself into a corner a few times. I had to go back, and the worst part is I can't always go back and make corrections or changes because some of these the books have already been published because I'm doing it one issue at a time. An issue will be between 20 and 30 pages long, and I'm about I think I'm about 160 pages into Tech Gal right now. I'm actually finishing up the first volume, which will be about the size of that book right there. And
so what can alternative comics do? And we're going to tell you how to get alternative comics in just a little bit if you don't know how to do these. And these things become collectibles, don't they? Like big-time collectibles.
There's a lot of alternative comic books that are already collectibles and been made into movies already.
Wow.
Well, it's funny because when people think of a comic book movie, they're thinking of things like Thor and Superman, and Spider-Man, and then there are other films that people didn't even know were based on
like
comic
300.
books. 300, and that was a great comic book film. But there are other movies that people would never even relate to a comic book, like Road to Perdition, which had Tom Hanks. That was a very, very good movie, and people had no idea it was a comic book. Another one would be History of Violence, that came out a couple of years, had that guy from Lord of the Rings. Name escapes me.
Yeah.
That was another comic book film.
Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, the guy who played the
You mean
king.
the character, I see. Oh, yeah, yeah.
The guy who played the king.
So it's a very interesting. We're going to do some slides, I guess, of some covers of some of your.
These are some of the comic books from
we need to do a little before we go to these slides.
Sure.
What I want you to do is tell me a little bit about the fact is that you have artists galore in your studio. You guys aren't the only two working there, right?
Right. We have about 20 different artists in the Scatter Comic Studios, as I call it. Besides the very talented Timothy, we have a whole range of different styled artists, and that was the whole reason of bringing in so many. Is a client can come to, they have an idea for a comic book, they can come to Scattered Comic Studios website, and they can select your artist, and they can go through every artist and go, that's the artist that I want for my book. That's the style I was envisioning.
So you can commission a comic book.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Did you hear that? You can commission a comic book.
And we got to set up like a salad bar. You select your artist, you select your colorist, and boom.
All you need to do is provide a story.
I mean, the De Medici of popular art. You could commission a comic book. So let's have a look at these slides that you brought and talk a little about it. I think we can talk over them. So make sure the mics are on. Okay, here we go. Oh, there it is.
Oh, the SAC Anime charity event that's coming May 15th. That one, all the money's going to be going to Japan Relief, everyone that goes to that show.
Yeah, anime is a kind of a modern term.
Waiting for something to happen is the slice of life type comic book I was telling you about earlier, where it's a 20-or-something working woman trying to just get through the everyday life, and it's kind of like a dark comedy because you can laugh at all the misfortunes because we've all been through it. There you see she's having her review that day. Scattered, we talked about earlier about the supernatural comic book. It's a supernatural adventure, and that one's been going on forever. I'm in the 2nd season, and the 3rd issue comes out this year. This is just some fan art that I did, Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's in that chibi style that we were talking about with Panda Days, the big heads and the big eyes and the small bodies and big feet, of course. Very cute and very fun.
There's another one.
There's another one. This is kind of in between a chibi and a serious type looking character, but this is a character that's going to be in Scattered. Haven't quite figured out where she...
We'll call it
a pinup, yeah, there you go. And this is Scattered number 2. This came out earlier last year, actually. This is 3. This one will be coming out. Oh, it says in March, so I'm a little bit behind. But
better hurry.
Yeah, so that one's coming out very soon. Panda Days 3. This one's very popular out here in Sacramento with the younger kids, and it's driving the sales up that keeps me going with the issues.
It's my favorite book.
Yeah, it is. That's right. Panda Days number 2. This is.
Did you say that was for a 12-year-old?
12 to 18, but that is the majority. It's so funny that you can pick this up. It's like you're older and watching Powerpuff Girls, but you can still appreciate the humor. Freddy Krueger, and this is something I did for the SAC Horror Show last year. Besides anime shows out here in Sacramento, there's comic books and horror shows galore. So there's always. This is something I did for a rap artist. They commissioned me to do their CD cover, and they wanted to do a kind of a Matrix kind of feel to it. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. This is a comedian out here in Sacramento, and she wanted to do a kind of a spoof on that famous poster.
Yeah. We can get a man to do it. Like that.
This is actually one of the clients that came to the studio and commissioned us to do the comic book. I did the artwork, and a colorist named Sean Salazar did the colors for this. So this is kind of how it ends up.
So we were talking about earlier about commissioning.
Exactly. This is another client. They came in. They had a children's book idea, and they commissioned us to do the cover. This one, Stacy Raven did the colors where I did the artwork. So the Gillettes, this is someone from, if you remember,
Go ahead.
It's I'm sorry. They're a rock star family, and they commissioned to have this comic book done, and they sell them at their concerts. And again, more comic books that were commissioned. This is another client, and more client stuff. So, and we're back to Sac Anime.
So if you go to the Sac Anime thing at the Radisson Hotel there on the 15th of May.
On the 15th, yes.
You can buy comic books like this?
Yes, believe we'll both be there, and we'll have the comic books that we talked about today. Panda Days, scattered, waiting for something to happen. They'll all be there, and we'll be there.
Just a couple of quick questions. We don't have so much time. I want to storylines. I mean, these storylines are some of them are fascinating. They're very poetic. They jump in imagery because it's image and story, right? Right.
You're basically trying to tell a story with mostly images, because all that you really get is the dialogue that they're speaking out of.
The really neat thing with the comic books, though, is that you really have the freedom of writing anything that you want, because every genre can work in comic book form, and more than just any genre working, multiple genres. You can do a science fiction story and really make it work with romance or drama, and you have a good crime story and have it be funny. Pretty much any kind of mix of genre works as a comic book.
Wow. Thank you guys for talking to me about this. I think it's been really great to learn about anime and to learn about these alternative comic books, and that you can get this pretty much at any comic book store in town, right?
Right. I know for sure Empire Comic Books off of Folsom has it, but they should be in most of the stores out in Sacramento. And you can also get them downloaded on your iPad and iPhones from iTunes. And Drive-Through Comics.
Drive-Through Comics.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thanks so much. Thank you, Jason. Timothy, all right, I want to see my magic trick.
All right, we're going to do the magic trick.
And then we're going to go to a break right after this, unfortunately.
Right. You're not going to believe this. I have a bunch of name tags. Would you be amazed if your name was written on one of these name tags?
I would be amazed.
Oh, go ahead and place your finger on one. Anyone you like. Aha! Don't move. That one there?
Yeah.
Would you be amazed if your name was on there?
Yeah.
Flip it over. Show them. I'm not that good. I want you to take this pen, write your name on there really, really big for me. Really, really big.
Oh, really big. Okay, we're
If I was that good, I'd be on Fox.
I'm R-A-Y.
All right. Good.
There?
Ray.
Ray. Can you see which camera number? Okay, there you go.
There we go. Careful, that's a Sharpie. Yep. Get a good lock in on that. Have we got that?
Here we go. Yeah, you got that.
We got that. Good. Keep an eye on Ray's name tag, because I'm going to bury it about halfway down in the pack. What do you think, Ray? Is that about halfway?
Yeah, that's about
I'm not going to shuffle or anything, but I'm going to find Ray's name tag in an interesting yet non-threatening way. This will kill you.
Non-threatening.
Now, the top one's blank.
Yep.
But if I snap my fingers, the ink will rise up to that top name tag.
Oh! How did that happen?
Pretty well. I was happy with that.
You really did a great job.
Pretty good. You see, I placed it about halfway down. Jason, go ahead and take the top one. Show him his name. Is it there?
No.
No?
There.
No.
Well, there you go.
But you know why, right? Because I didn't snap. I need to snap, and then it comes up to the top.
Oh, look at that. Look.
Hey. He's going to keep doing it until he likes it.
Thanks for your magic.
Thanks for having me out.
All right.
Good
Thank you
man.
for having us. This was awesome.
Short break right now, and then we're going to talk about bicycles and film. So stay tuned for LiveWire. It's a wonderful show. Yeah, I like it.
Very cool.
Cool.
You can eradicate polio. You can promote peace. You can feed the hungry. You can help children do better in school. Because you can get involved with Rotary. Because Rotary believes that by working together, you can do anything. Learn more at Rotary.org.
Hello, I'm Community Television.
And I'm corporate media. The channels I own serve as my personal mouthpiece. I tell you what I've told you you want to know.
Wow, that sounds really great for you. I carry local programming by local people and provide a forum for diverse community dialogues that anyone can participate in.
Really local, huh?